In an exercise that I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy, I did a mock draft for this draft class.
Ooh.
The entire first round. And I've done this before privately. Like, oh, this is how it'd go. This is what makes sense. And like, when people say that it's very hard for this class to kind of define it and who would go where and why, when you actually sit down to do it, it is a pain. Genuinely. It is a pain. So I did 1 through 30, did not do the second round because I don't think you can do a second round right now with any kind of accuracy. Because there's going to be... So I had probably
Can I just say nobody gives an F about second round mock drafts?
People do. They want all 60.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. And the only reason why you should just have tiers of guys that could be drafted in the second round.
Yeah, and that's
it. Like there's no way you know what an NBA franchise is going to do in the second round because it's you could take complete flyers on guys.
So many things
because
change.
you want it for 3 years.
Because CJ Ellaby gets drafted by the Portland Trailblazers, a guy that wasn't inside the top 100 for almost every draft expert.
Yep.
Still, I have no idea how that happened. I had probably about 8 guys that I could cycle through that are quote unquote second rounders that I could swap into the final 10 picks. Like that's how fluid it is in that area. Like Oric Chomchi, who came through at Hoop Summit. I've seen and heard teams that have him for a first round grade on him. I've seen him mocked to Portland by ESPN. Like I can very easily, and that's at pick 34. I can very easily see this group of 8 to 10 guys that could cycle in anywhere through there. For me, when I did this mock, there's inflection points. The consensus right now is that Sarr is number 1. It's not 100%. It's not Victor Wembanyama. It's not like, yeah, everybody knows. It's generally assumed that Sarr will go 1 and that Reza Shea will likely go 2. Now, that could change. It could be a smokescreen. But the inflection point for me first is at pick number 3, and that's Houston.
Yeah, wild card because of everything that they could change with their roster. If they go and make a trade for Kevin Durant, all of a sudden everything changes. They're probably not picking, but at the same time, the need, if they go and they don't need to include a first this year, which Phoenix would be stupid not to, but and you have a full-on roster change, or say it's not even Kevin Durant, right? If they're going to make a move to bolster the roster, if they get Jimmy Butler, then all of a sudden they change their needs dramatically, and it's a massive shift.
And for me, I ended up going with Reed Shepherd there, Kentucky guard. Shot 45% or over 45% from 3. Pick number 4, and this is where I think So this is not just me going, I think this is what's going to happen. This is informed speculation. This is talking to other draft experts, front offices, scouts, getting an understanding of kind of what teams are looking at, who teams like and don't like. And there's stuff that gets out in public that is meant to be smokescreens. And then there's stuff that is in private that is more accurate about how certain executives feel about certain players. And so I try to piece all that together with, okay, if I were in this position, this is the kind of where I would go. And so at 4, I went Rob Dillingham to the Spurs. A lot of people have Topic there. Topic has had now 2 knee injuries. Does that give him a red flag at the combine on the medical side?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, 2 knee injuries, any combine would. But that's when you're the most cautious.
Yes, nothing's been torn yet, but you're kind of wondering, oh, okay. I went Dillingham here just because of his shooting ability and kind of what that means, but that kind of pushes Topic further down the line with Buzelis at 5. We talked about him already. The other inflection point here in the top 10.
Buzelis at 5 to Detroit. Detroit is at 5.
Yes. The other inflection point is pick number 6. There's 3 different guys I could see going to Charlotte very easily, very, very simply. Stephon Castle, Donovan Clingan, Ron Holland.
They have a lot of needs at a lot of different positions.
And it all depends on which way they want to go. This is, for me, I think, the premier spot for Clingan if they want to have somebody in line alongside or behind Mark Williams, which I think that's maybe not the best use of the pick, but if that's what they want to go with, fine. Okay, I get it. I wouldn't.
And they're a wild card because you never know what they are going to do.
And
in a draft that is slotted where it is like,
nobody
hey,
knows. Yeah,
we know. But usually, even if there are knowns, right?
Mhm.
And it's like, this is A, B, C, D. These are the guys that we believe are going to go in order. Charlotte has drafted guys just out of the blue. You're like, what the hell are you doing?
Mhm.
But in this
It is-
draft, it's even more confusing.
It's a
for
new
them.
ownership. It's a new front office. So, and we saw that the Brandon Miller pick was actually Michael Jordan's pick on the way out. So we haven't really seen what this front office wants to do yet. But I went Steph Castle. I think that he's the guy that could be the glue guy in between LaMelo and Brandon Miller. And if his shooting comes around, that could be a special backcourt.
Okay. Now, that takes us to 7,
Mm-hmm.
where the Portland Trailblazers are. Okay. Now, off the board already is Sarr, Rizachet, Dillingham, Bazelis,
Shepherd, Castle.
Shepard, and Castle.
Yep.
Okay. That leaves Donovan Clingan,
Mhm.
Rob Dillingham.
No, Dillingham's gone.
Or Dillingham's gone, sorry.
Holland.
Ron Holland, Nikola Topic, Dalton Connect, and Saloon
And Jacoby Walter.
and Jacoby Walter.
Yes.
Where do they go?
I ended up going 7. I went Cody Williams. I'm not straying too much from my evaluation, even back to January and February. Two of the guys in my big board of guys that it was a big board focused on what I would do if I was Portland ranking prospects. I had Cody Williams 3, Tijon Saloon 5, overall on my big board. I have been high on those two guys for 4 or 5 months. Those are just watching the film and getting an early start on those guys. They are not without risk, but I ended up going with Cody Williams here because he finished almost 74% of his shots at the rim, flashed 40% ability as a 3-point shooter. The NBA pedigree, yes, being Jalen Williams' brother helps him. There's no doubt about that. But even if he's not aggressive enough, air quotes, he's a child. He is incredibly young. And even though he weighed in at 180 pounds, his brother was the same way. He's got a frame that you can pack weight on. I don't think he's going to be Kawhi Leonard, but I can very easily see him getting up to 205, 210 pretty easily. Like, his wingspan was insane. He came out of the combine with a 7'1" wingspan at just under 6'7".
Does it bother you or concern you that even though he has flashed the ability to shoot, I think between the Pac-12 tournament and the NCAA tournament, he made 1 3-pointer?
No, because he was playing with an ankle that was basically just holding on by a thread.
Oh.
He shouldn't have been playing.
That doesn't scare you either?
No, when you roll,
it does me.
no, when you roll an ankle, you roll an ankle. It is what it is. He went out there and played, and it's a bummer. But when he was playing the previous 25 games, it was very good.
Okay.
And I look at that and I go, and that was as a true freshman. You take a look at Jalen Williams, who comes out after his junior year. Again, if you take Cody Williams here, I am prefacing this now. If the Portland Trailblazers take either of Saloon or Williams, they are not going to be good in their rookie year. It is May 17th. I am telling you this now. Do not I want to see this guy who's going to average 17, 18. No. In 2 years. In 2 years. Because they are both children. And they both, Saloon doesn't need to get better physically. He needs to get better on the feel side of things. Cody needs to get better physically.
And I'll tell you, that is not something that Blazer fans want to hear or see, but that is the reality of what you're doing in a rebuild.
Yes.
That
you're taking swings.
When people say you're not about that rebuild life, this is it right here. Like, you're going to be this is not a deep draft. You're at 7 in a draft that it doesn't have high top end talent, but it has those big swing kind of guys. And that goes back to kind of what you were saying, in that if you're not going to be in the top 2, dropping down in the draft wasn't the worst thing in the world for this team this year. No. It will be next year.
Yes, if you fall back in the 2025 draft, it's going to be a problem. But that leaves, you make those picks up through 7. That leaves Topic, Holland, Connect, Walter, Klingon, McCain, Saloon. Those are all on the board going up to 14. And I think if you get your guy at 7, that's where 14 can end up shaping it. We had Corey on earlier of No Ceilings. He mentioned, if you get your guy at 7, and let's say it's Cody,
Now you say McCain, Jared McCain, the Duke point guard.
Duke point guard. He is a guy who has risen up quite a bit. And also, Devin Carter, I have at 15 going to the Miami Heat. I've also heard that he has a lottery promise, which if you look at how things are shaking out, that's probably at pick 13 to the Kings. Okay. So the interesting thing about McCain is he's not the same player, but if you want to go shades of, he reminds me of CJ McCollum, who if you don't know the history here, the Sacramento Kings promised CJ McCollum and then did not take him when he was there. CJ McCollum roasted and continues to fry the Kings every time he plays them because he singularly holds that grudge.
Well, that's a 6'3" guard.
Mm-hmm. Who shoots the living hell out of the ball. But again, this is not for Portland. That's for Sacramento. They might need to replace Malik Monk. But I did this exercise, and I got to about 15 or 16, and I went, oh, my God. What do I do from here? And that's the thing, is once you get through the lottery, the machinations that come out of this are just endless.
And I would encourage people, if you want more, to go check out the Patreon, because you have write-ups on all 30 prospects too and where you slotted them at. So again, who do you have going top 3?
My top 3 right now are Sarr, Reza Shea, and Shepard.
7 to Portland.
Cody Williams.
14 to Portland.
If it worked out, I've got Tijon Saloon. I think he might be getting too much heat.
Yeah, he is. He's a guy that a lot of folks are talking about right now.
Rising for quite some time now.
All right.
Unfortunately.
Okay.